But we might as well move back to transfers. And this one is one that's quite intriguing. Gianni Moscon, remember him? Yeah, he's been at Astana for 2 years, isn't it? Or 1 year? Not even sure. That just shows
Yes.
performances. But yeah, he is changing to, out of everyone, Soudal Quickstep, the team that have been moving more towards Remco Evenepoel and away from the classics. And now Moscon is dropped into the team. And what's your first thoughts on this bizarre transfer?
See, you say it's bizarre, but if this transfer happened in 2017,
Yeah,
it
okay,
would be
fair enough.
amazing. You know, like this would have been such a good transfer 5 years ago. But now it's like he's gone past state. We know he's had some big health problems as well that have made it really, really hard for him over the past 2 years. With his time at Astana, Kazakhstan, I think it's a blood problem that just kept him feeling fatigued a lot of the time. We saw glimpses of him back in form earlier this year at the Giro when he was working for Mark Cavendish. He also rode the Tour de France. So it definitely looks like we're getting Gianni Moscon back slowly but steadily. And this move is, I mean, intriguing because all the signings we've had for Soudal have really been climbers and so forth, or young people, in order to help with the Evenepoel target. But Moscon joining, yeah, definitely feels like a bit of a spanner in the works. But also, I'm intrigued to see how it's going to go. Maybe this change of scenery will help him, but I can't really overlook the health problems that have plagued him over the past 2 years and assume that he's going to be bouncing back into tip-top form at Soudal Quickstep.
I mean, we saw like flashes of Moscon in the Giro, but it was only for like 2 minutes. It wasn't like the old Moscon that was up there in road races or the World Championships in Bergen, winning left, right, and center. And then, well, that's not true, but he won a lot. He very strong engine, and despite all the problematic, what should we call it, personality disorders or defects. Well, I'm saying his racism and general just attitude as a bike rider. They still kept him on the books at Ineos Grenadiers, who are so protective of the image of the team, but they didn't want to let him go to any other team. They would rather keep him than, yeah.
Maybe selfishly, I'm intrigued to see how Gianni Moscon and Patrick Leflorida get on over at Soudal Quickstep.
Oh, that's that's not going to be fun. Who would he share a room with as well?
Who would he share a room with?
Yeah, if he goes to the Giro, is he going to be in the same room as Remco?
Or surely not. Who's in the? Who do I think would share a room with him? I don't know.
Yeah, what does a 2024 calendar look like for Moscon anyway with Quickstep? Are you going to throw him into the remains of their classics team and then throw him into potentially the Tour de France? Because he could be like a Bosenhagen kind of role, but for Remco,
at his best, yes.
Yeah, true.
Maybe classics and then pair him up with Tim Merlier, maybe for the sprints. Do you think he was quite good with Cavendish at the Giro?
Do you not remember where they were trying to bring back the breakaway and Moscon was the guy they used and then he just faded quickly?
That's also because Astana Kazakhstan did not have a great at the Giro. And also other teams weren't investing. Magnus Court, you're welcome. But yeah, I really don't know. He's only 29. The thing is, because he really blew up when he was young, and it still feels like remarkable that he is that young. He really should be on the World Tour, you would think. It would have been cool to see him over at Polti Cometa, but alas, Soudal it is. And they've called him the Tractor on all of the Soudal Quickstep announcement sort of posts about him. Is he going to be the new Tim de Klerk, the old Tractor?
I think it's because he's a farmer. So, yeah, it could be. They've lost Tim de Klerk, so it's like, is that the role that they bought him for?
Maybe, potentially. I mean, I thought that there are plenty of other people in the peloton who could do that role, but maybe Moscon will find his feet in that role, a bit like Tim de Klerk did when he moved over from Kops for Vlaanderen back in, 2016, 17, moved over to Soudal. He suddenly became this sort of tractor engine who controlled the race from 100 kilometers to go until 50k to go. Maybe that's going to be Moscon's role now that he's a Soudal Quickstep, because he couldn't do that at Ineos Grenadiers. We didn't really see any glimpses of that at Ineos. Then moving over to Astana, we saw glimpses of it at the Giro, and maybe Soudal saw something in that and want to sort of make him the new Tim de Klerk in the years to come. He's a guy who's, he's 29. He's been in the World Tour now for almost, 7 years. Knows his way around the peloton. Maybe that experience is super valuable.
Okay, he's had the illness as well, but I was going to say, being one of these super talents like your Peter Scan, well, not quite Peter Scan, but definitely up there when he was very young, and then kind of fizzling out in his later years. It seems to be a bit of a trend, and I would be a bit worried for Juan Ayuso and Tadej Pogacar, to be honest.
Yeah, potentially, but at the same time, I also think it is that big health problem in 2022 that just did sort of throw him off, because he was winning in 2021. He almost won Paris-Roubaix in 2021.
True, we didn't even mention that. I so wanted him to win that edition. Well, wait, what? You didn't want him to win? No, okay.
Anyways, so it really,
the bike rider, not the person.
Sorry?
The bike rider, not the person. It was in the garden anyways, it doesn't matter.
Okay. I know, and then Colbrelli won, which was like intriguing. Let's say that. The Italian racist crashed off and almost won, and instead the Italian right winger won the race, who tried to run for Forza Italia. Like, why can't we just have an unproblematic Italian Paris-Roubaix champion, Anyway, yeah, the health problem for me is probably the reason I would say that.
Do you think it's a good buy for Soudal Quickstep? Well, obviously we don't know what he's on, but you would assume he's on marginally less than he was at Ineos Grenadiers.
It really depends. How much is he asking for? What role is he going to slot into? How much was Tim de Klerk on if he is replacing Tim de Klerk? This late as well into the transfer season, it's intriguing to see that he went under the radar for this long. Maybe it's just Soudal waiting to announce until this later part, but they've done most of their announcements already. So maybe this one took a long time to negotiate and so forth, or maybe Moscon had many options on the table, but Soudal will be a really intriguing step forward for Gianni Moscon.
We might as well, before we go to Rider of the Week, finish with another transfer. Well, we had the Santiago Umba, but you decided to put him in the YOLO category. And then also Pilau. How do you pronounce it?
I believe it's Pelayo Sanchez.
Yeah.
Burgos Beage. 23 years old, just signed a 2-year deal with Movistar. He won a stage of the Vuelta a Asturias this year. Came third on a stage at the Vuelta a España earlier this year. That was a stage won by Wout Poels with that little reduced bunch sprint. Well, that breakaway sprint at the end. Sanchez has been looking really promising this year. Really broken through. It's good to see Burgos Beige talent making it onto the World Tour level. Also, Scott, there's a couple more transfers to talk about. We have 2 going over to DSM Firmenich. That's Julius van den Berg, who's currently riding for EF, who took a stage at the Tour of Poland 2 years ago, as is Emils Leipinch of Latvia, who's moved over from Lidl Trek to DSM Firmenich. Scott, 2 intriguing transfers, but before we discuss them, there's also an Alpecin Deceuninck one. Yes, Jakub Mareczko has moved over to Corotec as well, joining Christian Sparagli, his Italian teammate.